I'm going to be honest. I have this tendency with my action figure collecting hobby where sometimes I will buy an action figure of a character from a certain property without knowing anything about the character or the lore to the property that they are from. And the main reason why I bought the action figure to begin with was because their overall design of the character looked really freaking cool that was enough to sell me on the action figure. And I'm pretty sure I'm not alone here. Maybe some of you guys can relate to this because haven't you ever seen an action figure that just looked really freaking cool and you just all of a sudden just want the figure but you have no clue who the character is? Yeah, I am part of that problem. And that is why I'm making this review for this Lieutenant Titus figure from the Mcfarlane Warhammer 40k line. And it's because recently I picked up this figure within this period for those exact reasons. I apologize to those of you that do know what Warhammer 40k is. I don't know who this character is. I mainly bought him because his, overall design looks cool. And I love characters that wear heavy armored suits. I just have like a thing for that. So now, the only thing I know about Warhammer 40k, being someone that never consumed the lore, is that I have been to hobby shops that sell the miniatures for the game. And I have seen videos of people, painting those miniatures. And people who can paint something so tiny like that, those people are very talented. I don't know how they do it. I don't think I can ever do anything like that. But those videos have been very fun to watch, and I've seen a couple of them in the past, mainly from Warhammer 40k, and it is very impressive. So that's all I know about Warhammer outside of that. So you can roast me in the comments if you want to. Feel free. In the end of the day, I make these videos for fun, and I apologize again for not knowing anything about Warhammer 40k. Okay, with all that said, let's dive into today's review. And let's start with the card that this figure comes with, because this is the first time I have bought a Mcfarlane Warhammer figure in a long time. The last one I bought was the Gene Stealer, because that figure just looked really cool to proxy for a White Martian, if you know anything about Martian Manhunter lore from DC. So this is like my second Warhammer figure that I've picked up from Mcfarlane, and it seems like they changed things up. The packaging is a lot different now. The prices have went up completely. They're like $30 now. And they also come with this card. So I call these a data profile card because there is a little bio on the back. So I'm going to read it because I want to know who this character is. And as you can see, there is this video game render of what Lieutenant Titus looks like in the front of the card. Pretty cool design right here. And on the back, it reads Ultramarines. And you have his full name. Mcfarlane Titus is a former firstborn captain and commander of the Ultramarines 2nd Company, and later a Primaris Marine lieutenant of the same company, who has fought for the Imperium of Man for more than 200 terrain years. His exploits earned him a reputation as one of the greatest heroes of the Ultramarines. Just from that bio alone, I can already tell this character is probably very popular. So, he probably is. There's the card. And now let's talk about the accessories that are included with this figure. And let's start with the backpack piece, as I like to call this, because it is a separate piece, but it goes on the back of the figure. And it's a really nicely sculpted backpack of some sort. I think this is some sort of jetpack. I don't know what this is, but it is a very cool looking piece. Now, one thing that I do know about the Warhammer 40k line from Mcfarlane is that he does also release like these artist-proof versions where they're all gray. They're meant to be customized for the people that like to customize their action figures, paint them in a different way. And even with this regular version where it's like painted already, you can tell that a lot of the details here can be painted better. And they did all the sculpting, so all you have to do is just fill in with more paint. And I can tell right away that some of these areas could be painted with some metallics. And yeah, but the sculpt details on just this one piece alone is pretty freaking cool. There is this sort of wash on it. I don't know if my camera is going to pick it up. There is like this sort of dirtiness on it because they did put some sort of wash on this entire figure to make it look like the armor is dirty, like he's been in like a war zone for a long time. And yeah, I do like the skull here with that ultramarine logo in the middle. It is pretty cool. On this side, you do get more details, and you can see that wash that I'm talking about, right? The dirtiness of it, and some more details here. You get this square socket, and this actually goes on the back of the figure. So as you can see, the figure has a square right here. All you do is you just put that in, and now the figure is completed. He has his backpack, and hopefully he doesn't fall because it does add a little bit of weight to him. And the overall figure itself has a good weight to it. It's not like hollow light plastic. It is actually, you know, solid plastic. So, and then he also comes with some weapons. He comes with, of course, his handgun, as I like to call this thing, because it looks like what a handgun should look like in some ways. It is very blocky with the design, but I do like the sculpting of it. And again, there are some details here that could be painted better. I don't exactly know why there's a hole through here. Like, that is such a weird thing, because, yeah, I don't understand why there's a hole there. But nevertheless, this is a very cool looking gun accessory. So you do get that. You also get this hammer, which is really freaking cool. This is probably my favorite accessory, and what sold me on this figure is the fact that he comes with this awesome looking battle hammer of some kind. And the material that they use for this hammer is not actual soft PVC. It's thicker plastic, so it won't warp as easily as some of the other accessories he's made in the past for DC Multiverse figures. So that is really cool. You got this detail right here with the skull and the cross, which is crazy because imagine like killing his enemies with this and the last thing you see is a skull, you know, being smashed onto you. Like, that is crazy, right? You got this sculpted emblem right here painted in gold that has details on it. That's pretty cool. You have this sort of cord right here. These details are like on both sides, so I'm glad they did that. And also the skull is on both sides of the hammer as well. You do have this like cord right here, as I said. I don't know what this is. It's like an energy battle hammer or something, but pretty cool. But again, you know, some of this like details could be painted a lot better, but the sculpt work is pretty good for this hammer. So yeah, even the handle, right? You can see all that. So really cool details there. He also comes with a helmet, and of course, I've seen artwork of some of the character designs from Warhammer, and I know that most of them wear helmets, and he has one as well. So that's really cool. And I'm glad that he has two options. You can have him with the helmet on or without the helmet on, as you can see on the figure. And is there anything else that oh, here we go. Let's show some more details. You got the side right here, you got the back part, and I do like the fact that there is like a contrast of colors. You have the white and the red paint on top with the dark blue, and there is this wash again on the dark blue to make it look like it's dirty. There are these like cords here that look like breathing tubes, right? So pretty freaking cool. And those are all the accessories for the figure. He also comes with the standard Warhammer figure stand. It's basically just like your DC figure stand, but with the Warhammer logo. And now, let's talk about the figure. This thing is just beautiful. Like, I love the sculpt work that they did on this figure. Let's start with, like, the chest area. Look at the details on that. It is beautiful. This is all sculpted. It's painted in this, like, nice dark gold color. There is this wash over it that makes it look very dirty. There are some battle damage marks on here. It is so cool to see that. There is also text down there as well. And I love the fact that, you know, even this top part right here where his neck is, you can see this collar piece that is also, you know, sculpted with that sort of wash painted over. You got the bolts right there. Really cool torso piece. It's just a really good centerpiece for the figure. Let's talk about that head sculpt. Now, the head sculpt itself, I actually like this head sculpt, but of course you can tell that it's not accurate to what he looks like in the video game render, right? You can see the face right there. It looks very different, very cartoony looking, but as a head sculpt, if you do want to use this for like a custom of some kind for like a character, you can. So that is an option right there. And I think they did a really good job sculpting this head sculpt. So I do like that. Really freaking cool. As for the other parts on here, you got the shoulder armor. I like the details on this shoulder armor piece. Everything is sculpted, which is really cool. The skull right here in the top center. This part that says Ultra. You know, these ribbon pieces. I don't know if those are supposed to be ribbons. And I'm assuming they're supposed to be text on them. I have no clue what these little paper straps are supposed to be. But really nicely sculpted right there. There is the same wash. The dark gold color continues onto the shoulder. On the arm, you get this sort of like chain that is wrapped around his arm right here, which I don't know what this is. Like, is it a weapon that he can use? But it definitely symbolizes something in the lore for sure. And for the armor parts here, it is all just the same color, dark blue. There's not really some sort of wash for the arms. So if you want to kind of add more colors to it, you can, you know, to make it have more of a faded look. You do have his hand down here. So everything is covered in armor. On this side of the shoulder, you have that ultramarine logo. You have the same gold color design going on here. There is this battle damage on it, and I believe it's sculpted. Let me take a better look at it. Yeah, it's sculpted battle damage. It's not like printed on. It's actually sculpted. It's actually like three-dimensional a little bit, so that's pretty cool. And there is that same wash. And then on this arm, you do get some details here, right, with the armor. Because it's not covered by the chain, so there is sculpting with some parts here. There is a little bit of a wash for this side of the arm, so that's pretty good. And now let's go down to his belt piece, which I like the fact that he has this cloth goods. I've seen some of the older Warhammer figures from this line in the past. They did not have cloth material like this. They had more of a plastic soft goods in the center here. So this is really cool to see that they implemented cloth goods. It's not wired, but it allows the articulation for the legs to be, I guess, a little bit better. I think that's what they were trying to do here. So that's pretty cool. The belt here also has the same skull logo. You do have like armor pieces on the side here. I don't know what this is. Again, I'm sorry that I don't know anything about this character. Maybe this is something significant that he carries on him. So, you know, that detail is there. And on the back, he does have pouches for him to store stuff, which is also pretty cool. You got the back armor as well. And now we come down to the legs. We have more sculpt details that is pretty much hidden underneath here, and I'm going to try to show this to the best I can. You do have that inner part of the armor that is in there as well, but you do have more sculpting with the legs, right? You see these pieces, there are details present. And then when you get down to the lower half of his leg, you have this big blocky armor piece that has this really cool design for the knee guards, right? It has the ultramarine logo. It has some battle damage. It has some wash. You got more battle damage down here. Really cool. On this side, you have battle damage. On that knee guard, you have another skull face sort of emblem here. You got this down here. Again, I don't know what this is called. It looks like a ribbon. So you do have all these cool details, and he has big shoes that he's wearing as well. So it's a very blocky armor suit, and I love it. And on the back, you know, you got more details, right? Sculpted And again, a lot of this could be painted with better contrast of paint to make it stand out more. So really nice that they did a lot of the detail work. And that's a better look at what the back part looks like with the backpack. So pretty cool. And that is basically all the aesthetics on this figure. It is a very beautiful figure, in my opinion. This is probably like one of the coolest Warhammer figures I have picked up from Mcfarlane, because I've seen some of the other ones and they've never painted them like the way they did with this one. So I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I like this one. So yeah. All right, let's talk about the articulation on this figure. So his head sculpt with this head, the unmasked head, he has a lot of range of movement. He can look up, he can look down, and this part right here inside also moves. So if you move it, he can look down even more. So that's pretty cool. His arms are going to be hindered by his shoulder pieces here. So you're not going to get him to do like a T-pose. You can swing his arms back and forth like this. There is double jointed in the arms, but because my copy is still very new, it is very tight, but it does work. As you can see, there are 2 pins right there. He does have swivel in the hands, and he also has an articulation in the ball joint right there. That also has a swivel, but again, very tight right now. I have to heat that up. As for his torso piece, you do get this really good range of movement, which is really cool to see on a figure like this. The rotation is really good. Now, leaning forward, not so good. Leaning back, actually really cool. So you do have that option. And then his waist down here also has swivel as well. So that's pretty awesome that there's movement. And it can lean forward, not too good. It can lean back a little bit, I think. Let me see. Yeah, it can kind of move, but also not the best. But for a figure that is very heavily armored, you know, at least there is some movement there. And then for the legs, you can get the legs to spread out a little bit. Now, for some reason, this side is very tight on my copy, so I'm not going to force it, but this side can, and that's as far as that leg can spread out, because, you know, this piece is going to get in the way, right? He has a skirt armor piece right there. You can get him to kick out pretty decently, I think, so that's not too bad. He does have double jointed in the legs, but again, my copy is still very new, so a lot of these parts are very stiff, but they do work. Oh, here we go. This leg works. So that's as far as you're going to get for double jointed, I think. So he does have articulation in the feet. They do move, but, you know, that's as much as you're going to get them to move. There is no toe articulation. And that is basically all the articulation on this figure. And now, let's show what this figure looks like with his accessories. So I do want to swap out the head first. Really easy. All you just do is just pop it off like that. And then now, pop it in like this. And let's show the articulation really quickly with this other head sculpt. As you can see, you know, because this head sculpt is now the masked head sculpt, he has his helmet on, you're not going to get that same range of movement like the unmasked head. You can look up a little bit if you pull the second part of the articulation there. He can look down, not exactly the best. He can rotate his head, so you do get movement at least there. But yeah, limited articulation with the mask head sculpt, as you can see. And now, let me get his gun in his hand. So, pretty simple, because the hands are soft PVC of some kind. You can get it in there really easily. So, there is his gun. And for his hammer, it's the same thing. Sadly, he can only hold it with the left arm because he doesn't have any interchangeable hands. So, you know. All right, let me see if I can get that in there. Can I do it on camera? That is the question. This is a struggle. Okay, this is not going to work on camera. There we go. There we go. All right. There he is with his battle hammer and his gun. Now that is a very cool looking figure when you have all the accessories on him. And that is such a cool figure. Like, it's just, now you know why I bought this, because this is so cool to have on the shelf. And I like this combo. You know, he got a handgun on one hand, he got his battle hammer on the other one. This is so cool. Okay, there he is with his accessories. Here's a little quick comparison with, I guess, a Diablo 4 statue from Mcfarlane Toys, just for fun. There you go. And that is basically going to be it for today's review for Lieutenant Titus from Warhammer 40k.